Hello and welcome back guys. In this video we are going to work on displaying the Sudoku board. The first thing that we are going to do is create this board.js file in the components folder. Inside we are going to import board.css file, and again we are able to do this because of our webpack setup. Then we are going to export this default class board, and for now we are only going to have this property board and we'll initialize it to a new array of size 9. This is basically going to be a 2D array which will store our current board configuration. So if the first row third cell is 3, then the property board at index 0, 2 will be 3 since arrays are 0 indexed. Next we are going to create this render function, which if you are familiar with React will basically create the HTML for the board, and we are going to return this HTML at the end. Okay, so let's quickly get into it then. The first step is going to be initializing the board array. So currently we have this 1D array and we're going to initialize it to a 2D array using this loop. So we are going to loop from 0 to 9, and for each loop we are going to initialize the element to a new array of size 9, and this will give us the initial array. Next we are going to create the Sudoku table with document.createElementTable, and we are going to return it at the end of the function. Now before we return it, we are going to generate the table. So we are going to have this for loop from 0 to 9, and inside this loop we are going to create all the table rows with document.createElementTr. And at the end we are going to append this tr as a child to the table. Before appending it, we are going to have another for loop for all the table cells, and inside we are going to create element td. And we are going to append the td as a child to the tr. So now each tr will have 9 tds, and there are going to be 9 trs which are going to be the child of the table. Now before appending the td as a child, we are going to add an id to the td like so. And we are going to set the content editable to true as well. And finally, inside the board at index I and j, we are going to store this object which will contain the value which is initialized to empty, and this $L which will point to the table cell or td. And that is it for the render function. Now let us quickly go back to our index.js file. If you remember, this is our entry point, and actually the code that we write here are the only ones that are executed. So if you want code from some other file to be executed, we need to import it. So we are going to do just that. We are going to import the board like so. Import board from component/board. Then we are going to create a new instance of board. Then we are going to select the main div from this HTML. Like so. Document.querySelector #main. And then we are going to append a child which is going to be the table which is returned from the render function of the board. Now that that is done, let us quickly go to the browser and check if everything is working or not. And as you can see, the board has actually been rendered. And you can also enter values into the board. But since we haven't added any listeners, these values are not getting stored anywhere. So let us quickly add listeners to these cells. So we are going to go back to our board.js file, and we are going to add a method to this class. We are going to name it handleInput, and this is a simple event listener, so we can take in event as a parameter. From event we are going to destructure target like so, and then we are going to destructure inner text and id from it. Next we are going to get the row and column of the cell from the id, since we set the id as row-column. After doing that, we are going to check if the length of the value is greater than 0 or not, and using regex we'll check if the value is not between 1 and 9, in which case we'll go inside this and empty the cell value using setCellValue. We'll create this function soon. The first parameter is going to be row index, the second parameter will be the column index, And the third parameter will be the value, and here it is just an empty string. Then if the value is between 1 and 9, we come to this point where we set cell val, and the value will be empty if the value.length is 0. Otherwise we convert the value to a number using this unary operator. Now moving on to set cell value, this method will take in row, column and value. Now the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to get the cell from row and column. Then we are going to set the value of the cell to the new value. Then we are going to check if the inner text of $L, which points to TD, has the same value or not. If it doesn't contain the same value, then we are going to update its value, and we'll use this part soon. Now going back to our render method, we are quickly going to attach the event listener like so, and we have completed most of the prerequisites. We are just going to create one last method, and we are going to name it handle input from array. And basically this method will take in the array as an input and store the elements in the given positions. Here we are first going to wrap our code inside a try-catch block. In the first step, we are going to get the array from json.parse. Then looping through each row and each cell, we are going to use set cell value and set the value at the given row and column. In the catch block, we are just going to alert that an incorrect array has been passed. Next, we are going to go into our index.js file and add this new function that we created as an event listener to the text area from the DOM. Now, if we go back to our browser and try to enter an array, then everything is working. Cool. So that is going to be it for this video. In the next video, we will write our code for solving the Sudoku board. So hope to see you guys then. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. As you can see, I almost have no subscribers or likes or comments. So doing any of those would help me a lot and keep me motivated to make more videos. Again, hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.